South Carolina Senator Tim Scott has thrown his name in the hat for the presidential race. He is planning to run for in the Republican primaries, and the American people want to know, is he in fact still a virgin? Well, one reporter wanted to know, and that reporter is Ben Terris. Apparently, he revealed that he once asked the Republican presidential candidate whether he was still a virgin, and there was good reason to ask that question. But first, let's back up a little bit to kind of understand what this story is really about. So Scott is a Republican senator, a very conservative one representing South Carolina. He's also the only Black Republican senator, period. Now, today, he officially announced that he will be running for president in 2024. His campaign is just now starting, but he has a long way to go to catch up to Donald Trump and Ron DeSantis if he manages to be able to do that. Now, the most current polling coming from Morning Consult found that Scott is getting just 1% of the vote from Republican primary voters. So again, he's got a long way to go. And speaking of Donald Trump, he reacted to Scott's announcement very differently from how he reacted to Ron DeSantis potentially running. He hasn't announced yet, he's expected to announce. Here's what he wrote on Truth Social. Good luck to Senator Tim Scott in entering the Republican presidential primary race. It is rapidly loading up with lots of people, and Tim is a big step up from Ron DeSanctimonious, who is totally unelectable. I got opportunity zones, done with Tim, a big deal that has been highly successful. Good luck, Tim. Okay. So obviously he doesn't see Tim Scott as a threat, which is why he's so friendly to Tim Scott, and also used this as an opening to throw a few more jabs at Ron DeSantis, which I think is hilarious.
So before we get to Tim Scott's virginity, I love that message from Trump. It's a pat on the head. Way to enter the race, Tim. It's nice to have you here.
Good luck.
Yeah, if he thought Tim Scott was 1% of a danger to him, he'd be like, oh, this Tim Scott's a rhino. He doesn't even like Mar-a-Lago. There's something wrong with him. Okay, have you heard what he calls his cat? It's totally unacceptable. Okay, I'm calling him Tim Scott Tape. Okay, because that's what he is. So no, obviously he thinks Tim Scott's a joke.
He's getting 1% at the moment, 1% of Republican primary voters.
He's not. Of course, he's a joke. Of course, he's not going to win. Yeah. Guys, look, anybody can beat Biden. Not anybody can beat
Anybody
Trump.
can be beat.
Yeah, but not anybody can beat Trump in a Republican primary. Okay.
Yeah.
In order to beat Trump in a Republican primary, you got to come real strong. You think Tim Scott, whose whole career is based on white people, you're right, blacks are not that great. You think that guy is going to beat Donald Trump? No, he's not. It's not even gonna come close.
So Scott is very conservative, okay? So the Susan B. Anthony Foundation, Susan B. Anthony Pro-Life America gave him an A rating, although he's kind of waffling on when he would ban abortion, right? So,
ooh, okay. I mean, don't worry, it's getting banned. It's just a question of when, okay?
Yeah, exactly.
Monday or Tuesday.
But Scott, much like every other politician, likes to test the waters and has seen that the reversal of Roe v. Wade did not bode well for the Republican primary during the, for Republican candidates in the midterms. And so he's not as vociferous against abortion these days, but nonetheless, he's got some fat pockets apparently. He's been planning to run for president and he's been fundraising already. So after Scott won re-election to the Senate in November, his campaign committee still had $22 million in cash on hand that can now be used to bolster his presidential candidacy. According to the FEC, Scott's existing funds represent the largest sum of money that any US presidential candidate has ever had when launching a campaign.
Irrelevant.
So to be fair, I mean, you're right, but to be fair, he didn't fundraise that money specifically to run for president. He did it for his re-election campaign for the Senate, but he does have that giant wad of cash ready to go for this presidential run.
Which, by the way, explains why mainstream media takes him seriously, because he's gonna spend that cash on mainstream media ads. So they're like, Tim Scott, very important person, has entered the race. I mean, you never know, he could win, he could win. You'll have to see his ads first though.
His what?
His ads.
Oh my God.
Not his abs.
I thought you said ass. I'm like,
okay, well, we're gonna get to that though, isn't it?
We don't need to see that. All right, anyway, so let's get to the whole virgin stuff. Like, why did that even come up? So as a conservative, Scott, especially in like the 1990s, loved to give these speeches about the importance of abstinence, waiting until you're married. Okay, so Scott, who frequently talks about his faith, plans to focus heavily on the evangelical Christian vote in Iowa, the first in the nation caucus state, where he has held meetings with pastors in recent months, according to his advisors. Are we seriously going to pretend like evangelical voters give a damn about being chaste, about like literal conservative values?
None, zero.
Come on, guys.
The only thing they care about is how much do you own the libs, and is Tim Scott going to own the libs harder than Trump does?
I'm just saying.
I got news for you, he ain't.
I'm just saying, after evangelical voters and just whatever, evangelical power players, if you want to call them that, were willing to like turn a blind eye to Trump's indiscretions, if you want to call it that. Like, come
his
on.
raw dog antics with porn stars.
Come on, guys.
They're like, oh, you went raw dog on a couple of porn stars. Oh, no, that's right after thou shalt not covet. Well, okay, yeah, we never meant any of it.
So let's get back to Ben Terris, okay? Because he had an exchange with Scott back in 2012, and that's what he's reminding us all about through the context of a Twitter thread. He writes, Tim Scott will be the first presidential candidate I've ever asked about the status of his virginity. Initial answer, quote, I'm not talking about my sex life with Ben Terris. Then he stood up and said, I have to go potty.
Okay, so that was from 2012, okay, to be fair. So we don't know how much Tim Scott has been down to get the friction on since then, okay? But apparently he didn't want to talk about it back then. Still not married though. I mean, I hope you're keeping that abstinence up, Tim, because you've been lecturing all other people about it.
No, I hope he's not. I think if he's still a virgin, that is a liability at this point. Like, there's something, no, come on. Like, honestly, in the eyes of the average American voter, I don't even know how old Tim Scott is, but he's too old to be a virgin. And no offense to the virgins out there, but like.
So look, I joke around about the incels all the time. We say like, oh, we're involuntarily celibate. Yeah, no crap, Sherlock, right? Yeah, we were all involuntarily celibate. And so, and in this case, like, if you're voluntarily celibate, brother, don't do it. Don't do it, okay? You're gonna explode. Just go have fun, life is short. If you're involuntarily celibate, well, of course, we feel your pain, and you're trying. Okay, God bless you, keep going, right?
Yeah.
So in this case though, of course, he's saying, no, don't have sex if you're not married. God does not like that. Oh, well, it's taken a while though, so I kind of had to do it, you know what I'm saying?
Okay, so yeah, let's get to graphic 7 here, okay? Because the third tweet that I think is relevant to this says the following. One more thing. It was such an awkward question to ask that I wrote myself a script. You used to preach about the virtue of no sex until marriage. Is that a virtue that you still adhere to today? Ultimately, he implied he did not, to which I say, thanks God, okay? And then he says, quote, I just wish we all had more patience.
Well, then stop lecturing other people about it. Problem solved. Like the minute you have sex outside of marriage, you shut it. You zip it. That's what you do.
But to be fair to Tim Scott, and I think, I never thought I would say this, but the entirety of the traditional conservative movement in the country, I really haven't seen much in regard to like no knocking boots until you're married, because people are getting married so much later in life. So really, you want like a 35-year-old waiting until they get married to?
Well, but that's the thing. So that's why
we need more love in the country, okay, not less. And look, I'm not talking about teenagers. Like, I get the conservative ideology of encouraging teenagers to remain, to practice abstinence until marriage, even though like it's not gonna work, but nonetheless, okay, I get it in that context. At least why they want that in that context. But we're talking about grown-ass adults.
No, but well, two things about that. One is Tim Scott is a rare politician who's still hell-bent on it.
So, is he really?
Like he's talking his whole career. He rose up talking about these kind of issues. That's why evangelicals are theoretically excited about him, although they don't even know who he is. But that's his thing. That's been his shtick for a long time. Like, oh, we're gonna do this the godly way, okay? No gay people, and yeah, don't do an abortion because God's in favor of it, but still we're pretending he's not, okay? And you guys, everybody stay celibate. You're not allowed to have sex. And then he goes off and runs off, and of course he has sex on his, and because, why? Because of course, you'd be crazy not to. And Anna, like, since I'm a little bit older than you, my whole life, I've heard this ideology like way more than you guys have. You're right, they've kind of let it go recently.
Yeah,
right?
I remember when I was a teenager coming up and just seeing the differences between the state that I grew up in, California, versus like some of these red states like Mississippi that were just aggressively pushing for abstinence-only sex ed, which was a disaster in Mississippi. It had the highest teen pregnancy rate of the country.
100%, not only is it dumb, but it doesn't work. It's counterproductive, it leads to more teen pregnancy because you're trying to deny reality. But I got married at 38.
Can you imagine?
Can you imagine if I was stupid enough to listen to right wingers? Like, no guys, hold on, I'm 37, but I'm gonna get it right on the, when I get married at 38, man, it's gonna be spectacular. No, don't waste your life, no way. Don't listen to these crazy people, go out and have fun. Once you're past 18,
be responsible, by the way. Be responsible,
sure, of
obviously. Course. But I mean, look, to me, do whatever you want, but be responsible. Let's just put it that way. For right wingers who still abide by this ideology, who still push this kind of thought process onto other people, just don't be so concerned about what other people are doing in the bedroom. Just mind your own business. And if you're 38, you should not be a virgin. Okay?
Yeah, I hope to God you're not. Okay, last thing on this is that
unless you're a nun, which I get it. I mean, I don't agree with it, but I get it.
No, just leave, then have sex and then do whatever you're gonna do with your life. Okay, last thing is, like, oh, is this an inappropriate question, Tim Scott? No, it's a perfectly appropriate question. If you're gonna go around telling everybody else to be celibate, the guy gets to ask you if you're celibate. Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.